There can be no question or doubt that it's been our life experiences that have enabled us to reconcile the riddles, the conundrums, the paradoxes that have arisen for us in life. But is there a place where we no longer have riddles, conundrums, or paradoxes? Let's test ourselves to see. And first of all, there's a story about that cosmic mystic joker Nasruddin. And it so happened that there was a time when there was a group of theoretical philosophers who were traveling about the country debating with various pundits and sages in the towns that they came to. Now the mayor of Nasruddin's town heard about them coming, and so, knowing of no other who could match them, he asked Mullah Nasruddin to debate with them. But the mayor said, perhaps you better talk to those that have already debated with these people so that you can get an idea of how they work. Mullah Nasruddin said, I'm not interested in hearing what these others debaters have to say, because they and I do not think the same way. Let them come, he said, and so there was a great forum. All the townspeople gathered around to hear this. And so when the philosophers stood up and confronted Mullah Nasruddin, the first one of them said, Mullah, tell me, where is the center of the earth? And the Mullah said, well, you see my donkey over there, and you see his back left hoof. Well, it's right there. Well, prove it, said the philosopher. And Mullah Nasruddin said, well, here's a measuring stick. You're very welcome to measure it, if you will. And so the second philosopher said, well, Mullah, how many stars are there in the sky? And the Mullah said, as many as there are hairs in the tail of my donkey. You're free to count them if you will. And then the third one said, well, how many ways of perception are there for mankind? And the Mullah said, as many as there are hairs in your beard. Shall we pull them out one by one and count them? So, of course, these philosophers realized that they could not beat Mullah Nasruddin, and so they all signed up to become his students, didn't they? And then there's that story that has never been finished before. But let's see what happens when we complete it. There's that story about the time when the Zen master decided that he would construct a monastery. But he constructed that monastery right next door to a Taoist temple. And we know very well that the Taoists are magicians. They know the ways of nature and the like. And they were not at all happy about the Zen master building a monastery right next door. So they decided to get rid of him. So first of all, they sent storms and tempests and thunder and lightning. And that frightened away a lot of the students of the Zen master, but he was totally unfazed by what was going on. And so the Taoists decided that they would call down other kinds of pestilence. So they had cockroaches and scorpions and rats and all kinds of other vermin infest the monastery, which didn't faze the old Zen master at all, but sent away a few more of his students. And so the Taoists decided they'd pull out their big guns and they call down the ghouls and the demons and the spirits and the like. And the Zen master was totally unfazed by it, but got rid of all the rest of the students that were there. But of course, by this time, the Taoists had run out of all of their magic tricks, and so they moved their temple somewhere else. So someone came along and said to the Zen master, well, how did you do that? These Taoists have got all this magic. And the Zen master said, oh, it was with the power of the word Wu. And so he said, well, how can a word counteract a magic? And he said, well, you see, the Taoists have their magic, which is from creation, from life. They have their magic. But I have no such powers. I have no such magic. But I know the difference between have and have not, because have not is boundless, limitless. And so my constancy can beat their inconstancy. What is this constancy that is described as the power of Wu? I know the difference between have and have not. And this constancy beats inconstancy. What is this constancy? The power of Wu. Knowing that these riddles, conundrums and paradoxes can only be reconciled and solved by experience. What is our experience of constancy? Unchanging. Always present.